And we'd like to thank Desert Financial Credit Union for sponsoring our KRIM Community Spotlight program. Good morning, Rim Country. Chris Higgins in the studio this morning. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday morning. Another beautiful day out there. It's going to be a little warm, so hey, but cooler than the valley. So just remember that. You could always be down in Phoenix. So much rather be up here in Payson. Hey, well, it is third Wednesday of the month, I believe. So we're second Wednesday. I think, third Wednesday. It is the third. Thank you, Melissa. And we always have Banner Payson Medical Center in the studio to talk about what's happening at Banner Payson Medical Center, what's going on. And this morning we have a couple of the registered nurses from Banner Payson Medical Center in to talk about the ATU department. And I had to ask, what does ATU stand for? And it is Ambulatory Treatment Unit. So in the studio is Melissa Hazelow. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning.
And Carrie Cueto.
Cueto. Yes, very close.
Cueto.
Good morning.
Close.
Yes.
And learned that is Filipino.
Yes.
Right? Cueto. Nice. All right. So we're going to be talking about, again, the ambulatory treatment unit, or as you pointed out, Carrie, outpatient, basically, outpatient care?
Yeah, it's like an outpatient treatment center.
Okay.
So we do IV infusions, shots, wound care, blood transfusions, and we also do chemotherapy out of the unit.
Okay. This always has to be mentioned or brought up every time Banner or someone from Banner is in here. But I have to say, we are very, very fortunate to have Banner Payson Medical Center, Banner in Payson, and access to all of the services that are provided by this medical center. Because in a rural community, in a smaller community, usually you do not find all of the different services and the level of services that Banner provides. You just don't see that.
Chris, I think that Banner has done a wonderful job at identifying what services we need in our community and branching those out and trying to grow those programs. They really do keep the focus on what our community needs and simple things like chemotherapy. Being able to offer that in our community so people aren't, during that time in their life, having to travel an hour and a half to go receive their treatment, it being a long treatment and traveling all the way back, is just a great service to our community and the community members here.
Yeah, no, it's the different guests that we have in, on this program, and different doctors, nurses, techs, just talking about the different departments that they work in. And yeah, it is great to just see and hear about, learn about all the different services. One of the services that just comes to mind also, pain management, where some of the services maybe aren't offered on a daily basis, but doctors or techs, specialists come in just weekly, monthly basis to perform a service.
Correct, yeah. We are also managers over that department as well that has the pain providers come in, and we do sometimes up to 18, 20 patients on that day. And we're able to then have those patients stay here locally, not have to travel again for the services. So it's very nice. It might not be as frequent, but we do offer them up here.
So want to learn a little bit more about you two, because kind of different backgrounds or how long you've been with Banner is quite different. So I'll start with you, Melissa. How long have you been Banner Payson Medical Center?
So I started at the facility 19 and a half years ago. I started what was Payson Regional Medical Center.
Yeah.
I started my career as a CNA and then was able to attend the local college here, get my LPN, and then eventually my RN. I have worked in every department except for the ED, and I love it. I think the thing I love most about our hospital is that it really is a community. It is like a small family.
Mhm.
It really is, people walk in from the outside and they feel the love from the staff there, that they are taking part in taking care of their community. It's not just they're just taking care of XYZ patient. That is someone that is a member of their community, and they see them afterwards out in the community. And so I think it outreaches beyond that. But we have a lot of people that luckily we work in, sometimes we'll float to other departments. So it's not different silos. They all work together as one team.
So 19 and a half years ago, were you working with Ty Jones?
Oh, he was my preceptor. Yes, he was my preceptor, my first preceptor as an RN out on MedSurg.
Wow.
So yes, I did work with Ty.
I know Ty has been, wow, he's probably, you know, if you've been up here a while, working at whether it was Payson Regional Medical Center or Banner now, probably worked with Ty at some point.
And he has done such a phenomenal job at for a nursing program up here. He has really impacted our community to the positive of turning out great nurses. And yes, we're very fortunate to be able to have that feed into our facility.
Yes.
From the college.
How many, and you don't have to know exactly, but how many, like currently, nurses are at Banner Payson Medical Center that have gone through the nursing program here?
I do not know for sure, but I personally went through the nursing program. I was the second graduating class from college.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I would say the majority of our nurses.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly.
Yeah, no, but it is the majority, isn't it?
It is.
Wow.
And we're able to have people come that already live here. They're invested in our community. It's really great.
It is great. No, so that's just really interesting to hear, you know, just how you've worked your way up, you know, through the different hospitals that have been here and where you are now. And how about you, Carrie? So how long have you been a nurse?
I have been a nurse for over 31 years.
All right, wow.
Yeah, I came from the Valley, moved here 7 years ago, but this is my third go-around being employed by Banner.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I was employed 2 other times at Banner Desert.
Banner Desert, okay. And how long were you in the Valley? How long did you live in Phoenix? Or
I was a native.
Okay.
Yeah, I was born there.
Where did you go to high school?
I went to Corona del Sol High School.
Corona del Sol, all right.
In Chandler, yes.
Wow, so what caused you to come up to Payson? Why did you relocate up here?
I always wanted to live in a smaller town because when I was young, I didn't really grow up around family, and I went to my grandparents' house, which was in Nebraska.
Oh.
And they lived in a town of about 300 people. I know this is larger, but
that's real
it's
small.
a good thing. Yeah, there was only 300 people. And I loved how I could walk on the street and people would say hi.
Yeah.
And they knew who I was. And I remember one time I was in my early 20s and I went to cash a check at the bank because they didn't have an ATM, of course, but they did have a bank branch. And you know, in Phoenix, you had to like almost give your firstborn to cash a check at a bank that wasn't yours. And so I walked in and I said, yeah, I need to cash this check, you know, what do you need? And they're like, well, you're Violet Crovis's granddaughter, aren't you? And I said, yeah. And they said, oh, we know where to find you, don't worry about it, honey. And they just handed over the cash. And I was like, okay, hey, this small town thing's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So, you know, move up here, people still say hi to you on the street. They wave to you when you're driving by in a car or honk at you obnoxiously, you know, whatever.
Yeah, well, and it was funny because similar to that, Melissa, you mentioned before the program, hey, this is the second Hazel-O. I'm the second Hazel-O you've had on Community Spotlight here this month so far because your son Trent was on with Faith Lowry and, I forget the lady's name, but in regards to the Northern Gila County Fair.
Yes.
And talking about that and yeah, that was a lot of fun talking with him. And he's the outgoing one, though. You're like, oh my gosh, he enjoys talking. Where
He does.
where me, not so much. I don't enjoy it as much. But yeah, he does. You don't have to, pull it out of him.
No,
He just.
if anybody ever needs a conversationalist, Trent will talk all day long.
Oh, there you go. He's your little therapy child.
There you go, yes.
Just, yeah. And he did great. He did great talking about raising his steers, 2 steers and a pig this year that he's raising. So
Yes.
he's doing great. And, sharing this because it is about the community, a small community. And that's something that really all of our guests from Banner, talk about this and say how if they've come from a metropolitan area or a larger hospital, that when they come here, it just feels like family. And they see, some of their patients in Walmart, at the bank, around town, and they'll talk to them, say hi, thank them, for taking care of them. And they really appreciate that, enjoy it, and like it. And it's not like that down in the valley, is it, Kate?
It is definitely not.
Mhm.
I can remember the first time I got stopped by somebody in the Walmart parking lot.
Were you a little like, uh-oh, what's going on here?
They're like, yelled across the parking lot, hey, are you Carrie? And I said, yeah. And it was a patient that just had surgery. I did their recovery, and we had been talking about food because they were hungry, of course. So
Yeah.
we were talking about who had the best Reuben. I
Uh-huh.
just have to say. And they said, I think this place has the best Reuben. I said, I don't know. I think this place has the best Reuben, but I haven't tried it there. And they stopped me. And the husband thanked me for taking care of his wife. And then we discussed that we had both tried the other person's choice in Reubens.
Isn't it interesting? Is food like a common topic, when you're in the hospital or with your patients? It is.
Especially when you're recovering somebody after surgery because they're hungry.
Gotcha. Well, you know what? I was talking about that too, and hey, we're family, so I will share. I was in for my first colonoscopy, and people talk about how horrible that is. That's not that bad. I didn't think it was that bad at all. I mean,
The prep is the worst part.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. I guess I'm just used to really bad things. I don't know. It wasn't. It did, compared to kidney stone, that was nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Where everything I base all of my medical experiences now are based or compared to kidney stone.
Yes.
And I haven't experienced anything worse than that so far.
Yeah.
So it wasn't bad. But when I woke up, and the nurse that was there, she was from Chicago, and started talking about pizza because they're deep dish pizza, and I'm from just north of Philly, so different style pizza. And we were talking about pizza and what pizza she likes here in town, and she had never been to Old County Inn. So I'm like, you gotta get up there and try that pizza. But it was funny talking about food. So I think that's just how it is, huh?
Yes, it is.
That is good. So again, if you're just tuning in, just started watching, talking with Melissa Hazelow and Carrie Cuto.
That works.
That works.
Everybody says it differently, but it is Cueto. But
Cueto.
I answer to just about anything.
Cueto. Carrie Cueto, both registered nurses at Banner Payson Medical Center, and both working in the ambulatory treatment unit. And something you mentioned, Melissa, is that it is great for people to be able to get treated here, and especially chemotherapy you mentioned. So if there is that option, and I guess it doesn't work out for everyone as far as being able to be treated here. Some do have to go to the valley for treatment, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And we work closely with Jody Strand, who's a provider
yes.
here in Payson.
Yeah, she's been in before, and she's lives up in Pine,
Right,
and
wonderful.
loves it. Yeah, and I know Hoyt was in with her, Hoyt Scablin, CEO of Banner, and just very, very thankful that she's here and providing that service. And it
It's
sounds
very nice that patients can see someone in person,
Mhm.
and she has a great just care for the community, care for the
Mhm.
patients. She does a great job, so.
That's good. So she evaluates, works with the patients, and then
So
determines.
she gives the orders, so how the ATU works
Mhm.
is that they either go see, she would be their primary doctor, so they get the order through their primary doctor, and then they can come to the ATU to get the services once they have the order.
Mhm.
So their primary doctor sets up the information with the clinic, and then we are able to do, whether it be, like Carrie was mentioning, blood transfusions, we do injections, we do the chemotherapy, we have wound care twice a week,
Mhm.
different services like that. And the nurses there do a fabulous job. So we have 3 nurses and a CNA, and then they take care of the patients so well. And the patients really get to know them really well. And because a lot of these patients come more than once a week. It's not just when they're usually receiving services. Sometimes it's just once in, but a lot of times it's repeat visits. And so they really get to know them and get to know their preferences, and they have good conversations and take great care of them.
And what do you tend to see the most or deal with the most? Is it the chemotherapy or
Chemotherapy we do once a week. Wound we do twice a week.
Uh-huh.
So it just depends. But a lot of different. Another service that they do is like the albumin replacement after like a paracentesis or thoracentesis. They do.
I think that we see a lot
injections.
we see a lot of injections like Prolia and Xolair, because I think those are no longer something that the physicians can do in some of their offices.
Okay.
So we get a lot of those.
And those injections are for what, to treat what?
Asthma,
okay.
and also Prolia's for calcium for osteoporosis.
Okay.
So
Osteoporosis, it's interesting. I haven't, and maybe, I don't know, I haven't seen as many commercials or ads or just discussion or talk about that recently. Is that still prevalent? Do you still see a lot of patients dealing with osteoporosis?
we see a lot of patients that get Prolia shots. They get them
Okay.
every 6 months, but we have a lot of people that come back every 6 months to the day to get their shot.
Okay. Yeah, it's, and I guess that's, I don't know if there's, I don't want to say trends, but just maybe different issues that, are focused on or more prevalent or just people are experiencing more of. But, when you mentioned that, I just thought, wow, it was a case where it seemed like I would just hear that over and over and over, osteoporosis and check for this and here's a medication.
It's still out there.
Yeah, it's still, no,
I think sometimes the providers, when they get more aware of the treatments that are available, I think some of the advertising goes down because they're doing a really great job of managing it.
Gotcha. No, that's good. And, another aspect or other people that we've had on the program, and we've discussed volunteers. Are volunteers part of your department, or are you able to utilize volunteers?
We do not currently use any in the ATU, but we do use them absolutely in other areas of the hospital. They are just such a blessing to have. And not only like they're part of the community, but they are just such a help to the staff there and to the patients. They do a great job. We use them a lot in our surgery department, and
Gotcha.
they're wonderful,
That's-
absolutely wonderful.
And that's what, I've heard from other, again, nurses and doctors, specialists that have come in that have talked about, because you mentioned a family, how Banner Payson Medical Center is like a family, and the volunteers are a real big part of that.
Yeah, and they're really included in the department. They're really, we consider them part of the department in surgery. We include them in different things and,
Mhm.
you know, holidays and stuff like that, because they are really vital for us when we have busy days.
They're so hardworking, and they're
Yeah.
volunteering their time to
Yeah.
give to us, and it is just so nice of them. And they even sometimes bake us and bring us treats, and it's wonderful.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
added bonus.
Back to the food.
Yeah, back to
Yeah.
Carrie, you said you've been here at Banner Payson Medical Center for a few years now?
Yeah, about 2.5.
About 2.5. So you came up right on the tail end of COVID then? Or?
Yeah, I walked into Banner Payson like kind of on the tail end.
Okay.
When I first got here, surgery wasn't all that busy, and that was my place I was hired to do.
Mhm.
Although I floated almost everywhere in the hospital
Mhm.
except for women infant services.
Gotcha.
And I oftentimes would go like to the nursing floor and help them answer call lights, because the
Mhm.
nurses were working so hard that
Mm.
they wouldn't get a lunch.
Mm.
So I watched their patients while they had lunch.
Wow. And so Melissa, you were here during that entire time.
I was.
Yes, that had to be very, very challenging.
It was very challenging. So at the time that COVID hit, I was actually the manager over the Women and Infant Services, Med-Surg, and ICU. So it had a huge impact on those departments, and it was a lot of change day to day. We were just learning as we went, and sometimes we would get notification at 4 p.m. that, okay, this is what we're going to start doing tomorrow morning, and just implementing those changes, because we were learning about it as we went. And so it was a lot of different changes and things to, it was a hard time. It was a hard time on staff. It was a hard time everywhere, on patients.
The community as
The
a whole, I
community.
think it really affected.
Yes, and during that time also, all of the volunteers went away.
Correct.
And I remember, discussing that or talking about that, because I think at the time there were, goodness, how many employees? What they said, over 150 to 180 or somewhere in there. But then the volunteers were like 100. There were like 100 volunteers that just went away because they could not be there. They could not be in the hospital. So it was like, I want to say like a third, basically, if you looked at them like staff, because
Yes.
everything they do, like a third of the staff just went away, and then the workload just shot through the roof. So, when you talk about like not being able to go to lunch,
Right.
Not getting any breaks, not having any time off, working extra hours,
Yes.
and just kind of no relief from that.
It definitely had a huge impact.
Mhm.
Huge impact.
I know, I was in the hospital during the second go-around, or the second variant or whatever, and with, what was it, pneumonia, and in there, just the treatment, the care, everything, it was incredible. And at that time also traveling nurses having to be brought in from other areas to provide coverage.
We had the impact of the staff, if they got ill, if they came down with COVID.
Yeah.
The safe return of them to be able to care for the patients, like that staffing was a huge, huge issue during COVID. But keeping everyone safe, keeping the nurses safe, keeping the patients safe. It was just learning day to day. But when you go back to the community and how that is like a family, I think the impact of, unfortunately, some of the patients that were lost during that time that didn't survive, it had such a huge impact on our staff. And because they cared for these patients day after day after day, it really affected them a lot. So,
Yeah, because it could be a patient that they've known for a long time,
Yes.
that they've been treating, for different issues, over a period of time. Somebody that they know, a friend, or someone in the community that they have a relationship with. So it is a lot different compared to like in the valley where you're treating people, most of the people you don't know.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think when I was in the valley, I knew a single person from the outside in my community.
Wow. And how does that compare to you, Melissa, the patients that come in? What percentage of them would you say you know?
A lot. And if we don't know them personally, we went to school with their child, or we,
There's some
delivered
connection.
their great
Yeah.
grandbaby. It really is. It's a community, and yes, there's definitely connection there.
Yeah, and that connection, it's great, but then it also makes it harder, for different reasons or different
The
situations.
hard parts, I think, are definitely outweighed by the blessing of it.
Mhm.
So I think that it's just, I graduated from Payson High School. So, being able to still be a part of this community is so important. And what energizes, I think, what we do and why we do it.
Mhm. Well, and what I think is great to see is the combination of people that work at Banner Payson, that you have some of them that, some people that are born or raised here or graduated from high school here, and then others that have found their way here, like you, Carrie, and just love the community, love, being a part of the community, love the small town feel.
We accept them into our family.
Yeah, there you go.
Melissa took me in at Banner and hired me, and now she's stuck with me.
But it's great because, think back, one guy, I forget what department he's in, maybe X-ray, but from New York. And, he's out here now and just loves it. Loves, Payson, but from the Bronx, I think, or somewhere, New York City. Found his way to Payson. He was in the Navy and just found his way to Payson, but loves it. Or one of the doctors we just had in here down from Montana. And, born and raised up there and found his way to Payson and just loves Payson. So it is great to see, that combination, people that have been here for a while, have roots and connections, and then others that are coming in that are building those connections. So, well, hey, program's done. That's a half an hour. So that was easy, right?
It was great. Thank you. Thank you, Chris, for having us. Thank you so much.
No, Melissa's like, yeah, hey, I want to come back on next month. She'll be, emailing Hoyt. Hey, can I do that again? I just want to be a regular.
I don't know if we'll go that far.
Maybe she'll bring Trent next time.
Yeah, you bring Trent. There we go. Again, talking about livestock and yeah.
And the hospital.
And the
There we
hospital.
go. There's
That's
a
where I was
good
going.
combo.
How can you bring them together? You bring them together. Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Melissa,
Thank you,
for
Chris.
coming on. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Hey, you're so welcome. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching today. And, I hope that, I just really hope that people in our community have an appreciation and, an understanding of everything you both do and everyone at Banner, all the nurses, the technicians, doctors, just everyone that works there. An understanding about how much you guys care about the community, the people in the community, and everything you do for the community. I know it's easy, people just, this happened or that happened. Things happen, whether it's the hospital, the schools, a business, it doesn't matter. Things happen, we're all human. But the care that I've seen and experienced from the hospital is just, it's amazing. So I hope people appreciate that. And so thank you guys, and thank you to Desert Financial for sponsoring our Community Spotlight program. Time to get back to the music with some Joan Osborne, Poco, Pink Floyd, and more. But first, let's get a quick update from the National Weather Service.
Today's KRIM weather forecast for Payson and surrounding areas.
Thank you.
Meteorologist Corey Harris.
See you guys.